When looking at the stimulus material, the two articles that stuck out to me were the cultural evolutionary trade-off of ritualistic synchrony and the Estonian Song of Freedom. The cultural evolutionary trade-off of ritualistic synchrony talks about various forms of ritualistic synchrony, like marching, singing, chanting, or dancing, and the advantages and disadvantages it has on a group. The Estonian Song of Freedom talks about a specific group, the Estonians, using ritualistic synchrony in the form of an annual song and dance festival to preserve their culture, and it helped them gain independence on two various occasions. Connecting these two articles together, it was clear that indigenous groups that have lost their culture can use ritualistic synchrony to preserve their culture, and it is the best solution. This led me to the question, however, what causes a culture to disappear, and that led me to colonization, leading to my final destination of South Africa, for it is one of the most colonized countries in the world. This led me to my research question, to what extent did European colonization affect indigenous culture in South Africa? It is imperative that culture is preserved in indigenous groups, because culture gives people a sense of belonging and purpose, and it connects them to their past and social values, beliefs, customs, and traditions that adds to their sense of belonging and unity. Culture is who people are, and it identifies themselves and helps them feel a part of their community. There have been many proposed solutions, like the use of mass media. However, that has many limitations, so the best option is ritualistic synchrony. However, that also has some limitations. In 1600s, there were not many opportunities for Europeans to travel, so they did not know anything other than their industrialized lifestyle. However, in 1652, the colonization of Africa started in 1652 with the arrival of the Dutch. The Dutch had the largest trading enterprise at the time, called VOC, and they intended on using the tip of Africa just as a checkpoint for their trading ventures. However, upon their arrival, they saw what beautiful lands, exotic animals, minerals, and resources that they had to offer, so they decided to extort it and set up a colony there. In the map on the left, it shows the beginning of the colonization of Africa on the very tip of Africa. The arrival of the Dutch was the first cause of the indigenous culture of South Africa to be weeded out. However, after their arrival, many other countries decided to follow in suit, including Germany and Britain, as shown on the picture on the left. I'm sorry, the right. As shown on the picture on the right. No, the left. And with the arrival in other parts of Africa, the indigenous groups of those countries decided to flee to South Africa. So the arrival of the indigenous cultures with the arrival of the groups not indigenous to South Africa and the arrival of the Europeans, the culture of South Africa was in grave danger. The first proposed solution is the use of mass media. Mass media can reach many people in a short period of time through many means of communication. It has been used to spread information throughout the past for various topics. However, in this situation, it will be used to spread information about indigenous culture. Having more people know about indigenous culture preserves it, because now the masses know more about this indigenous group. An example of the use of mass media is Goji Africa. The sole purpose of Goji Africa is to preserve Nigerian culture. Goji Africa showcases Nigerian culture to the world through films, manuscripts, tapes, and interviews. Goji Africa is the only company now that is dedicated to preserving the knowledge and culture of an indigenous group. The government of South Africa or heritage institutions could possibly start a company like this in hopes of preserving South African culture. However, there are limitations to the solution. It is true that the world is focused on technology nowadays. However, what people see online about indigenous groups or anything else like that, they don't really care about, because it's not about social media or trends that are going on. Even if they do see something that they do care about, we can already get this information from internet sources and many other websites and articles. So what is the need of starting a whole new company just to get information that we can already get from the internet? Even if people do care about what they see online, it would not help, because the indigenous group itself needs to be involved and connected with each other in order to preserve their culture. Otherwise, it wouldn't mean anything. This is why the best solution is to practice ritualistic synchrony. Ritualistic synchrony, there have been debates about ritualistic synchrony, but whether it is beneficial for a group or not. However, there have been examples over the past decade, showing that it is not only the best option for groups, but it has been key in preserving their culture. Ritualistic synchrony can create cooperation, cohesion, and conformity, and it can help because after a long time of practicing ritualistic synchrony, people will be more susceptible to cooperating, making the culture easier to retain. An example of people who have used ritualistic synchrony are the Estonians, who have used ritualistic synchrony in the form of a song and dance festival, as stated by the stimulus material. Ritualistic synchrony has also been key to preserving culture it has been key to preserving culture for the Estonians, and it has helped them gain independence in 1918 and 1991. It has helped them become one entity and form a sense of nationalism, which has helped, again, preserve their culture. However, there is evidence contradicting the use of ritualistic synchrony. From Elsevier Science and Technology journals from the stimulus packet, it says that conformity can lead to blindly agreeing to what peers say, leading to destructive and sometimes aggressive behavior. However, this is based on what type of group uses it. For example, if South African indigenous groups use ritualistic synchrony, the only obedience that would be happening is when performing dances or singing songs, which is not aggressive towards other people nor causes destruction. Conformity can also be good in this situation because it can cause other people of South Africa to conform to the indigenous religion or indigenous culture and stray away from the colonizers' beliefs. Preserving indigenous culture in South Africa will help people feel a greater sense of belonging and keep the culture that has been around for centuries. The disappearance of South African culture started in the 17th century and is continuing to this day. It has caused European culture to take place of the culture that has been there for many centuries before. Direct action must be taken to preserve their culture left and retain the lost culture because culture stops the world from conforming to one ideal and creates diversity. One proposed solution, again, is the use of mass media. However, that has many limitations, and although ritualistic synchrony does have limitations, it is the best option.
Okay. For your oral defense questions, the first one that I have for you is, how did your research evolve as you moved through the research process?
Well, I was going to focus on so when I first started researching, I saw that the Dutch first colonized South Africa. So I was just going to focus on how did the Dutch the Dutch colonization of South Africa affect indigenous culture. However, upon further research, I saw that with other European countries colonizing other parts of Africa, it then affected the culture of Africa. So I widened my research topic.
All right, lastly, how does your conclusion compare to other literature that has been published about this topic?
Well, my first research showed that ritualistic synchrony does help a group exponentially preserve their culture, like with the Estonians. And other research that I have also showed that other practices that I've researched show that ritualistic synchrony is the best option for preserving culture.
Okay, good job. Yay.